John woke up to the soft glow of morning light, the town quiet around him. He remembered the life he once had, a life filled with ambition and endless effort. Every step he took through the empty streets carried the weight of his past, yet he kept moving, searching for meaning. The old office stood silent, a reminder of what was lost. He paused, letting the memories wash over him. The smell of rain lingered as he walked past the small cafe where deals were once made. Laughter and voices seemed to echo in his mind, though the rooms were empty now. He touched the doorframe lightly, almost expecting it to open again. A pang of longing mixed with frustration stirred inside him. Could he ever reclaim what was gone? John paused at a quiet corner, watching the sunrise paint the town in gold. He wondered why peace seemed so far away. The boy from the street had asked him a simple question. If it broke you, why do you keep standing in it? That question now echoed endlessly. He realized that healing could not begin while he lingered in the ruins. Every step through the town reminded him of effort, sacrifice, and betrayal. A partner who once promised loyalty had vanished. Opportunities disappeared overnight. His heart sank as he remembered the faces that once cheered him on, now whispering of his failure. The weight of the world seemed heavier than ever. At night, John sat with old contracts spread around him. He reread numbers that no longer mattered, hoping to pinpoint the single mistake that ruined everything. Hours passed, but the answers never came. Reflection brought clarity, but did not undo loss. Still, he kept searching, trapped in the cycle of what-ifs. What if I had done it differently? He whispered into the darkness. What if I had trusted no one? Each thought chained him tighter to the past. Yet outside, life went on. People moved forward even through storms. The contrast burned in his mind. One rainy evening, he paused beneath a shop roof, watching people rush past him. They ran despite the storm, while he remained frozen. The city moved around him, alive and relentless. For the first time, John admitted it aloud. I am stuck. This truth, though bitter, was the seed of change. The next morning, he visited Mr. Elas, the retired teacher known for wisdom. The man tended his garden quietly, hands covered in soil but eyes calm. John lowered himself onto the bench beside him, unsure why he had come. Sometimes you don't come because you come because you're lost, Elas said. The words settled in John's chest like a quiet fire. I failed, John muttered. Everything I built, gone. I can't let go. Elas leaned on his cane, voice steady. If a glass shatters, do you keep holding it, or do you let it go before it cuts deeper? John looked down. The answer felt simple, yet terrifying. That evening, he stared at the empty office, the wind whispering through broken windows. The lessons of the past pressed against him. Holding on to broken places only kept him wounded. John understood healing demands movement. It requires stepping into the unknown, leaving ruins behind. For the first time, he walked a new route through town. The ache to look back was strong, but he forced himself forward. Each step felt heavy but liberating. Small victories began to surface, like sunlight through storm clouds. Even in discomfort, he discovered growth. John cleaned his old desk, throwing away papers that carried weight from another life. Each sheet seemed part of him, yet letting go brought relief. The past no longer ruled him. He realized strength is not in clinging, but in releasing. Humility began to take root. He picked up a notebook, hesitant. The first words were shaky, filled with regret and anger. Slowly, sentences of hope emerged. I am alive. I still have time. I can try again. Writing became a bridge from despair to possibility. Each word stitched courage into his spirit. John walked through the streets, noticing life in its small movements. Shopkeepers arranging goods, children laughing in the alleys, neighbors greeting each other warmly. These everyday moments reminded him that life was still here, waiting for him to engage. Purpose was emerging quietly, like roots under soil. He began helping local shopkeepers, advising younger men with their small ventures. Pride whispered, "This is beneath you." Yet he ignored the voice. Rebirth often begins in humility, not glory. Each act of service strengthened him in ways applause never could. Through these small steps, John rediscovered discipline. Mentoring the youth brought a sense of meaning he had lost in ambition. People sought his guidance, not because he once succeeded, but because he now understood struggle. Wisdom became the quiet power he carried forward. Opportunities began appearing in subtle ways. Gaps in the town's needs became sparks of potential. John sketched ideas, built plans, and worked carefully, no longer chasing grandeur. He learned that sustainable strength outweighed fleeting glory. Lessons of failure shaped his foundation. His new venture started modestly: a rented office, a few workers, and a slow trickle of clients. Yet each day brought growth, steady and sure. Success no longer proved his worth. It became a tool to serve others. Peace came from purpose, not applause. Time passed, and the town noticed the transformation. Whispers of failure faded. People spoke of resilience, of someone who had fallen but refused to stay down. John understood. The story wasn't about falling, it was about rising. Each scar became a reminder of lessons learned. Finally, standing in his new office at sunset, John felt lighter. Scars remained, but they no longer pained him. They marked how far he had come, not just how he had been broken. He whispered with certainty, "I am not what I lost. I am what I chose to rebuild." The story of John became universal. It spoke to anyone who had faced betrayal, failure, or loss. In those moments, the choice remains: stay where you fell, or rise and rebuild. Each small step, each act of courage, leads toward transformation. Ignored. Birds, distant chatter, the clatter of market life. These small details reminded him that life moved on, even when he felt frozen. He realized that movement could be quiet, almost invisible, yet powerful. He visited the same cafe, not to relive the past, but to observe. Conversations flowed around him, laughter returning to spaces he had once feared. He felt the pulse of life again, subtle but undeniable. Hope was no longer a word. It was a sensation, rising quietly in his chest. John started walking different streets, exploring corners of the town he had never noticed. Each new path was a metaphor, a chance to choose, to grow, to rebuild. He welcomed discomfort, knowing it was a companion to growth. Fear was still present, but it no longer dominated him. He met old friends, cautiously at first. Handshakes no longer carried pity. They were genuine, built on understanding rather than success. Conversation became a bridge, not a reminder of failure. Slowly, trust returned, both outwardly and inwardly. Rainy afternoons became moments of reflection rather than despair. Watching water ripple through streets, John thought of resilience. Storms came and went, and so did challenges. He understood that life would test him, but he could respond differently this time. John began sketching new ideas, no longer aiming for grandeur, but for substance. Each page represented effort reborn, lessons integrated. Even small drawings felt like progress, a tangible reminder that he was moving forward. Failure was still remembered, but it no longer dictated his next steps. He helped neighbors with small problems, giving advice and assistance. Pride whispered that these tasks were small, but he ignored it. Humility, he realized, was the path to true impact. The act of serving others became a balm for his spirit. Observing younger men striving in their ventures, John became a mentor. His words carried experience, not arrogance. He celebrated their victories as if they were his own. Leadership now felt different, patient, grounded, and compassionate. Opportunities appeared subtly. A local shop needed organization. A new service was unclaimed in the town. John mapped possibilities, experimenting cautiously. This time, strategy was guided by wisdom, not ambition alone. The small office began to fill with life. A handful of workers, slow streams of clients, each day a foundation stone. John's pride was quiet, replaced by purpose. Every success, no matter how small, felt earned. He learned to appreciate the incremental nature of growth. Small wins built confidence. Mistakes no longer crushed him, they informed him. John realized that sustainability mattered more than speed or spectacle. Each night, he reflected quietly, journaling thoughts and lessons. His pen captured insights, reminders of resilience. Pages once blank now brimmed with plans and affirmations. Writing became a meditation, connecting effort to intention. He revisited places tied to past failure, this time without attachment. The office, the cafe, even the streets of old victories were seen through new eyes. Memories existed, but they no longer held him captive. He understood that revisiting ruins was only valuable if it informed forward motion. John's health and habits improved as routine returned. Sleep, exercise, small routines reinforced mental clarity. He found that caring for the body helped the mind heal. Balance became a cornerstone of his rebuilding. He faced unexpected challenges, delays, lost clients, minor setbacks. Each time he paused, assessed, and adapted. Frustration arose, but anger no longer ruled him. Patience, learned through suffering, guided decisions. Community started noticing his transformation. People sought guidance, not because of past fame, but because of authenticity. His reputation shifted from the one who failed to the one who persevered. Influence grew quietly, grounded in respect and trust. John began identifying gaps in services, needs in the town that no one had noticed. He sketched, planned, and executed carefully. Ambition was still present, but now filtered through experience. Each project was smaller than the past, yet richer in purpose. The new business began modestly, a small rented space, a few dedicated workers, slow but steady growth. John no longer measured worth by size or recognition. Success was a tool for service, not self-validation. Seasons changed, months passed. John celebrated small milestones quietly. Each day felt like progress, each challenge a lesson. He embraced the journey rather than obsessing over outcomes. People began to trust him with their ventures. Mentorship became a routine, a way to repay lessons learned from failure. Advice was given generously, yet humbly. Others saw in him a man who had lived struggle and emerged wiser. John learned the value of consistency. Daily effort, no matter how small, compounded into growth. He realized that monumental leaps were rare, but steady steps built empires of resilience. Each small task became a stone in his bridge forward. John began waking up earlier, not out of pressure but peace. Dawn became his quiet ally, a symbol of renewal. The morning light touching his face reminded him that every day could start again. He no longer chased the sunrise. He aligned with it. He visited the town square, watching children laugh freely. Their joy was unfiltered, untouched by loss or ambition. John realized that somewhere along the way, he had forgotten how to be simple. In their laughter, he found lessons on how to live, not just survive. One afternoon, he walked past a group of young men struggling with a project. Their frustration mirrored his younger self. Instead of walking away, he stopped, guided them, and stayed until they succeeded. For the first time, helping others felt more rewarding than personal victory. John began holding weekly gatherings for those rebuilding their lives. They shared failures, lessons, and small wins. The group became a space of healing, not of pity but of strength. It reminded everyone that broken people can rebuild stronger foundations. He often found himself sitting by the river at sunset. Watching the reflection of the sky dance on the water, he thought of life's flow, unpredictable yet continuous. The river carried everything forward, even what seemed lost. He wanted to live like that, in motion, not in memory. John's perspective on success changed entirely. It was no longer about being admired, but about being useful. He realized that greatness wasn't in being known by many, but in being meaningful to a few. Fulfillment replaced fame as his compass. He faced one final test, an opportunity to return to his old company, now under new management. The offer was tempting, filled with status and money. For a moment, he felt the old hunger return. But deep within, peace whispered, "You don't need to prove anything anymore." Declining that offer was harder than losing it all. Yet, in that no, John found freedom. He had learned that not every door deserved to be reopened. Growth meant choosing alignment over approval. Days became chapters of gratitude. He worked, helped, rested, and reflected with rhythm. There were no grand climaxes, only quiet contentment. Life, he realized, was not a race but a series of moments worth living fully. As months passed, the small business flourished. But even more beautiful was the community around it, built on trust, humility, and shared purpose. John became a symbol of perseverance, not perfection. His life itself became the lesson he once searched for. He started writing again, this time to inspire others. Words flowed easily, shaped by experience, not theory. His book wasn't about success, it was about transformation. It spoke of losing everything and finding yourself in the process. Letters began arriving from strangers who had read his words. They thanked him for his honesty, for reminding them that pain could lead to purpose. John realized that what he once thought was the end had simply been a redirection. On quiet nights, he read those letters under dim light. Each one felt like a heartbeat of connection, proof that vulnerability could heal others. He smiled, knowing that his scars now served as a bridge for others' hope. He met Mr. ELS again, now frailer but smiling. The old teacher looked at John and said, "You've finally understood, haven't you?" John nodded. "Yes, it was never about rebuilding what I lost. It was about rebuilding who I am." ELS chuckled softly. "Then, my work here is done." Their silence afterward was peaceful, two souls acknowledging the quiet victory of becoming whole again. John continued his work with renewed spirit. The fear of failure no longer haunted him. He understood that even if he fell again, he knew how to rise. That knowledge was his true wealth. As the years moved on, he passed the torch to others. He trained young leaders, encouraged dreamers, and reminded them that struggle wasn't the end, it was the foundation. Each conversation planted seeds of strength for the next generation. The cafe that once held echoes of regret now hosted gatherings of inspiration. John sat quietly at a corner table, watching laughter fill the room. The same place that once symbolized failure now radiated renewal. Life had come full circle. On a peaceful morning, John stood by the window of his modest home. The sunlight poured in gently, warming the old pages of his journal. He turned to the last entry, reading his own handwriting. "You are not your past. You are the lesson it left behind." Tears formed, not of sadness but of gratitude. Everything that had broken him had built him into something truer. The storm that once destroyed his path had cleared the way for purpose. As the camera of life pulled back, the town alive, the river flowing, the light golden, John smiled. The story was never about his loss. It was about the courage to begin again.